Good Wednesday evening. I'm Tim McGonigal.
And I'm Keely Van Mittendorp. First at 10 in news around the nation. President Trump pushed back today on Dr. Anthony Fauci's previous warnings to a Senate panel that reopening the country too soon could lead to serious consequences.
Motor coach companies also rallied in Washington to demand financial relief from the coronavirus fallout. The Federal Reserve Chairman warned there's a threat of a prolonged recession if the administration and lawmakers fail to act.
Now, white roses were laid to mark the nation's COVID-19 death toll in the shadow of the Capitol today, where the full House is expected to return Friday to possibly debate and vote on a $3 trillion stimulus package.
Montana adds just one more COVID-19 case today, bringing the state total to 461. The new case is a Yellowstone County woman in her 60s. Earlier in the week, state officials reported a new case in Jefferson County. However, county public health officials there report the man in his 50s has not been in the state for several weeks and has had no contact with people in the state. 15 of the state's cases are considered active. More than 93% of the confirmed cases have recovered.
And MTN has teamed up with AMB Philanthropies and the Montana Community Foundation to form the Rebound Montana Relief Fund. It's an effort to help Montanans recover from the financial impacts of COVID-19. The statewide fund will provide safety net funding for rural and tribal communities adversely affected by the pandemic. If you can help, please go to krtv.com/relief. There you can access various funds that have been set up.
MTN and AMB West Philanthropies will match the first $150,000 donated to the Montana COVID-19 Relief Fund, and anything you can afford is a way we can all help our fellow Montanans rebound.
Well, our weather was a little on the gloomy side today with plenty of clouds and even some showers.
Brandon Michaels joins us now. Brandon, those skies are clearing out tonight.
Yeah, most of us actually already under clear skies, and that clearing trend is just expected to continue. Let's take a look at the high-resolution satellite. Not too much going on for most of us here. We're still seeing a little bit of cloud cover kind of on the edge of our area. Daniels County, Sheridan, Roosevelt County seeing a good amount of clouds still, and a couple passing clouds over Blaine and Phillips counties. But most of us are pretty clear here. Most of us are pretty dry too. Embedded in those clouds to the northeast, still one or two little showers, but not too much going on. And in general, we are expecting some calmer weather in the forecast here. We're going to take a look at the rainfall stats. We definitely saw rain here in Great Falls today, but it was not measurable, so just a trace of rain officially. Still above average for the month and actually very close to where we should be for 2020 so far. So all that rain we've picked up lately has taken us from pretty dry to back to normal for this time of year. Something not quite normal for this time of year. Temperature's still a little on the chilly side today. 59 degrees the high temperature compared to an average of 64. The good news, we're going to continue to warm up as we head into the day tomorrow, and we'll have more on that later in the show.
Thanks, Brandon. Well, earlier this week, we told you about the United Way of Cascade County's COVID-19 Emergency Relief Fund. The new effort provides emergency dollars to agencies who help those facing uncertainty due to the pandemic.
I sat down with leaders at St. Vincent de Paul to see how they're helping the community rebound. St. Vincent de Paul officials told MTN News with money from United Way's COVID-19 Relief Fund, they've been able to buy essentials for their food bank and reopen their homeless shelter shower and laundry services. Executive Director Deborah Cattell tells MTN they've seen needs double for residents in recent months.
Normally get 30 families a day. We were up to 60 to 70 families. It was overwhelming.
Emergency funds from places like the United Way have kept shelves stocked and families full.
Altogether, somewhere between 50 and 60,000 pounds a month of food comes out of this food bank for this community.
Cattell believes the pandemic has highlighted the efforts by agencies around Cascade County to keep food doubts down and hope alive.
The vulnerability of one part of our community sort of makes us all vulnerable.
She's seen new faces staring into an uncertain future, including from rural areas like Vaughan and Belt, hungry for help.
Because of job loss, they were in here. And so we provided a really specific need with that.
Officials say the smallest things, like a hot shower and clean clothes, can make a big difference in the life of someone seeking stability during this time of uncertainty.
How do you set your alarm, be clean, and get to a job when you're sleeping on the riverbank?
The organization's homeless center has been open since February of 2019. Officials say they've helped numerous people looking for their next step.
I want to work. I want to better myself. I want to be stable. And in order to do that, can I get an alarm clock, please, so I can wake up in time to get to work?
From rental and job help to food and laundry, organization officials are always finding ways to engage the community, even during a pandemic.
In the last month, we have finished and submitted census for 70 homeless people.
Tuss says many were willing to complete the questionnaire so organizations like St. Vincent de Paul can continue to make a difference into the future. Now, the nonprofit hands out free meals at First United Methodist Church weekdays from 10:45 to noon. Their homeless center hours are open by appointment only, and that number is available on our websites.
Coffee lovers rejoice. A new coffee shop is opening on the Blackfeet Reservation. Hinman Coffee House has a drive-through. They'll be serving coffee, blended, and cold drinks. The shop will also offer bagels, sandwiches, and lunchtime favorites. The coffee shop has an important message. It's dedicated to the missing and murdered Indigenous women's movement. Owner Jade Heather Hinman said her mother-in-law was a crime victim and died at the age of 19.
The red handprint over the mouth is in support of the murdered and missing Indigenous women's movement. So it's saying that we're standing with all of our sisters who have been lost due to human trafficking, who have been lost due to murder and kidnappings and rapes. And like I mentioned before, this is something that does hit close to home for us because my kids' grandmother was a victim of this also.
Now, the shop is set to open on Monday, May 18th, and will offer drive-through services only until they finish the lobby.
And moving north, the COVID-19 pandemic has altered the way many small businesses operate, and even rural areas with little or no confirmed coronavirus cases are not immune. Due to its remote location, Tall Boys Tavern in Hobson attracted many out-of-town visitors before the pandemic hindered travel from more populated areas. But they've stayed busy and stayed open thanks to the small community with a population of just over 200 stepping up to help.
We've had a lot more community members, local community members come out of the woodwork being supportive of our business too. Locals who wouldn't normally stop in. We really take that to heart because everybody's pinching pennies right now. So when somebody decides to give you their dollar, you really appreciate it.
Tall Boys Tavern and Catering is open Tuesday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. You can find a link to their website on our websites.
The Montana Department of Commerce has received thousands of grant applications from businesses, organizations, and individuals impacted by the pandemic.
Now, Main Street businesses say at this point they're thankful for any help that they can get. MTN's Andy Curtis has more.
The state has received more than 9,600 submissions for COVID-19 Relief Fund grants since they began taking applications last Thursday. The 9 new programs are designed to help distribute $123 million in federal CARES Act money that can help families, small businesses, and others hit hardest by the COVID-19 pandemic.
It's no secret that all businesses here in Montana are affected by COVID-19 in one way or another. But for Main Street businesses like Birds and Beasley's here in Helena, any kind of help they can get is desperately needed.
This is such an unknown end date. And, Montana, I think, has done really well in sheltering at home and taking care of its population. And because we don't have the large population, we haven't had the outbreak. But we also are a small economy that depends severely on tourism.
Sandy Shull is still waiting to hear if her Montana Business Stabilization Grant application has been approved, but is thankful for any support she can get right now.
You don't know what's going to happen. So we're kind of preparing, so anything that we can do to relieve some of that burden.
The overwhelming majority of grant applications, some 7,000, were for the Montana Business Stabilization Grant Program.
Within the first 24 hours after they opened on Thursday morning, we received 5,000 applications into the Business Stabilization Program, and then another kind of 2,000 since then. So the demand has been very clear and very quick.
Rice says it's clear Montanans need assistance. The first group of grant award letters went out on Tuesday, and money will be sent to those approved applicants as soon as banking information is confirmed. The state will use this first round of grants to see where the highest demands are and adapt later rounds of funding to meet the needs of Montanans at those times.
This is looking to figure out where the gaps are and step in and support in places where there isn't other support.
Reporting from Helena, MTN News team of Andy Curtis and John Riley.
Coming up, consumers stores are stocking their shelves during quarantine.
More on how business is booming for some ag producers next.
Powered by the Montana Television Network. The 10 o'clock news continues on KRTV, Montana's news leader.
And welcome back to the 10 o'clock news. Well, as other sectors of American agriculture feel the pressure of the coronavirus, Pulse crop supplier, processor, and distributor Columbia Grain International has seen bean demand soar as the result of the pandemic.
And with more on this story, here's the Montana Ag Network's Russell Nimitz.
Well, the COVID-19 pandemic has certainly spurred an increased demand for shelf-stable foods, especially beans and lentils grown by farmers in our region. Jeff Van Pevenage is the president and CEO of Columbia Grain International and looks for this demand to continue.
People will like them because, one, they're storable. We look at what's going on in the meat industry and the shortages that you have there. These are items that you can pick up and store at home for 3 to 6 months and know that you're going to have them available to you when you're ready to cook. On top of that, you will find that people's desire for more healthy foods is becoming a big trend all over the world, and these fit into the category that people are looking for.
He says Columbia Grain has experienced a 40% increase in demand for the shelf-stable protein and that its plants are working around the clock to fulfill an ever-increasing number of orders.
What we really work at doing is fulfilling how do we get these products from the farm to a market. We look at ourselves as market makers, and we're out all over the world talking to buyers and solidifying supply chains so that we can move this product in a timely fashion from producers to the consumers.
And he says CGI's investment into new processing plants like the one in Plentywood, Montana, have been beneficial to both farmers and consumers.
We've seen change. I got involved in this, Russell, in 2005. And at that point in time, a lot of the product was just going to India uncleaned. And the world has increased its sensitivity towards quality on these crops. So Columbia Grain has been investing into high quality manufacturing processing facilities that will enable us to clean, bag, and provide products that the majority of the world want. As well, we're moving into small packaging so that we can start putting into grocery stores with a Columbia Grain brand that'll be Montana, North Dakota, Washington, Idaho product.
Now, 2 months ago, Columbia Grain thought they'd see reduced pulse crop acreage in the U.S., but now it looks like farmers are forecasted to increase what's being planted on this increase in demand. In Billings, Russell Nimitz, MTN News.
Columbia Grain expects pulse orders to continue to rise well into the future as cooking at home increases and fewer Americans eat out due to coronavirus fears, which will continue to fuel the demand for plant-based proteins.
Well, we've got a nice sunny day in the forecast for tomorrow, but still quite a bit of rain ahead. We'll break down the next 7 days coming up.
Now, here's your Storm Tracker weather forecast with meteorologist Brandon Michaels.
Not too much rain today. We actually saw nothing measurable in Great Falls, despite a pretty good shower moving through. Got some gusty winds and even some hail. 13/100ths of an inch up in Glasgow, less than 1/10 of an inch in Jordan. Most of us didn't pick up too much rain today. It was really actually the little bit of hail and especially the gusty winds that were the bigger impact of the storms that rolled through. A couple spots actually picked up wind gusts close to or even over 40 miles per hour this afternoon. Actually, the peak wind gusts for Great Falls near the airport was 45 miles per hour. So it definitely got breezy as those showers were rolling through. Temperatures were still on the cool side, though. 59 was our high in Great Falls, only 50 up in Havre. Some spots managed to get into the 60s, but even places like Glasgow and Jordan are going to be warming up quite a bit tomorrow. So we do have some nicer weather pretty much across the board heading our way for Thursday. already starting to see that pattern. We've got pretty good clearing here showing up. You can see from about Valley County all the way down through Fergus County and the rest of the area relatively clear. Still a little bit of shower activity into Daniels and Roosevelt and up in Sheridan County here. But in general, most of us are done with the rain. Even where we have some rain right now, it's not going to be lasting all that much longer. We have been tracking this big upper level low for the past couple of days. It's helping to bring some moisture onshore along with the jet stream here, but that's going to be kind of dying out at least temporarily. So our weather is going to be getting quite a bit nicer. And again, we saw that trend already of clearing. Still maybe a little bit of shower activity through about the late overnight hours here, but most of us are clearing out. Definitely by tomorrow morning, really not too much going on across the state. We're looking at fairly calm conditions, maybe a little bit of fog here and there in the areas that got a little bit more rain. Lots of sunshine, though, for tomorrow at noon. And then as we head into the afternoon, I do expect we'll see a couple of clouds developing. You can kind of see that on future track, and then to the south and west, we are going to be seeing some moisture starting to move in. Eventually, that will catch up with us again. But in the short term, things are looking pretty nice for us. As far as temperatures are concerned, not too bad right now. It's 42 in Hayes, 45 in Fort Benton, 44 in Great Falls, and 41 in Cutbank, 45 in Malta, and 40 degrees in Jordan. Still some 50s in places like Wolf Point. Tonight, though, with the clearing skies, it's going to get pretty chilly. 31 the overnight low in Malta, 34 in Glasgow, 32 in Scobie, 39 in Cutbank, and 36 in Havre. So some of us are going to be falling actually below the freezing point tonight. So definitely a chilly morning tomorrow, but temperatures rebounding nicely. Again, we've got all that sunshine, and that does help heat us up quite a bit. So already by the the late morning hours, we're well into the 50s. Pretty close to about 60 degrees by noon, and then we're going to spend most of the afternoon in the 60s, and actually some spots could even break into the 70s by the afternoon hours. Not going to be widespread 70s, but a couple places are going to be pretty close. 66 for Great Falls, 64 in Cutbank, but Havre close to 70, Harlem right at 70, Malta, Glasgow, Jordan all right in the ballpark of 70 degrees with highs in the upper 60s. Not a ton of wind to add on to that either. In general, 10 to 20 mile per hour for our wind gusts. Definitely lighter than those 40 mile per hour gusts that we saw today. Again, though, we do have more moisture in the forecast. No surprise there. Mostly sunny skies tomorrow, but showers returning along with some cooler temperatures on Friday. It's going to get chilly once again, but then sunny and nice for Saturday. Thursday and Saturday at this point looking like the nicest days. Little chance for some showers into the day on Sunday with some warmer temperatures. And then as we head into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we see more chances for rain and eventually another cool down. Guys?
Thanks, Brandon. Montana's American Legion baseball players are hoping to take the field this season.
We'll tell you what needs to be done to make it happen next.
Powered by the Montana Television Network. The 10 o'clock news continues on KRTV, Montana's news leader.
Over the weekend, the American Legion canceled its baseball sponsorship for the 2020 season due to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, that doesn't mean Montana's Legion teams can't play this year. MTN's Isaiah Dunk explains.
Montana's American Legion baseball teams could still likely play ball this summer. They just have to do it independently. Coaches around the Treasure State held a conference call on Tuesday to figure out how to proceed. There's a lot to be ironed out, but it will probably feel like Legion baseball.
Our hope is that we still can play under the Montana American Legion baseball kind of umbrella. So that's our hope. I'm not going to say how that's going to go, but I think we have a lot of support from our Montana American Legion baseball representatives. They've been involved in all these calls, so we're very optimistic that we still will be Montana American Legion baseball.
One change that's certain is that teams will have to purchase their own insurance, which many have. Finding sponsorship might be a little more stressful than usual, but the Helena Senators and Great Falls Chargers feel that it can work.
A lot of our kids actually did a really good job of fundraising before we were shut down for that month and a half, 2 months. And so there is still a little bit of stuff that we got to figure out money-wise, but we're trying to, our board's getting together, and we're going to try to work together with the parents as well.
The AA teams have voted to host a single-site state tournament, with the location yet to be determined. Chargers coach Tony Forster said games are a go whenever Governor Bullock moves Montana to Phase 2. He's hoping to keep most of the conference schedule intact, but things may have to change on the fly depending on local health regulations. Despite the hectic situation, the possibility of having any baseball at all is enough to keep everyone going.
we show up every day reminding them what they need to do out here, abide by the guidelines, and you know, we just are excited to be out here, and we don't want to ruin that. So we'll do whatever we can to be able to practice, and that's what we'll do.
In Great Falls, Isaiah Dunk, MTN Sports.
Well, the Ultimate Fighting Championship is one of the few major sports organizations that has returned to competition, and tonight's event in Jacksonville, Florida, featured one of Montana's best. Popular native Hunter Azur fought Brian Kelleher during the preliminary card. He started strong, but was caught with a left hook in the second round and suffered his first professional loss. Now, after the fight, Kelleher immediately called for a fight with another undefeated Montana mixed martial artist in Helena's Sean O'Malley. Stick around, we'll be right back with a final check of your forecast after the break.
Welcome back. Skies have been clearing out through the evening, and they're going to stay relatively clear through the night tonight. Because of that, it is going to be a little bit on the chilly side. Overnight low temperature just above freezing at 35 degrees. Nicer tomorrow, though. The wind's going to be lighter, the sky is going to be a lot sunnier, and the temperature is going to be quite a bit warmer, too. We're looking at 66 degrees for the high in Great Falls.
And Nintendo Switch has become a hot commodity during the pandemic, and it looks like it might stay that way for a while. Bloomberg News reports Nintendo is having trouble making more.
Government lockdowns in Malaysia and the Philippines have slowed production of some essential parts. A Nintendo spokesperson is expecting production to ramp up again during the summer.
Well, luckily it's not great outside, so there's kind of nothing else to do.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if you guys game or...
Not me. My son does.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
I'm going to have to get into it.
I just have to find an arcade machine so I can put quarters in.
There we go.
That's the extent of mine. Yeah.
That's my speed, too.
Right. Well, that's all the time we have tonight at 10. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great rest of your Wednesday.
Good night.